Welcome to the realm of magic and mystery, classic horror and sci-fi. You are now entering the House of the Unusual podcast with your hosts, Eddie and Joe. Welcome all you cool ghouls and friendly fiends to the House of the Unusual podcast. I'm your host, Joe Pavlansky. With me as always is the maestro of mail order mysteries, Eddie Guevara. Also with us tonight, we have horror magician extraordinaire Chuck Caputo and our buddy Mike Mezmer. What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good.
How are you, Joe?
Awesome.
Everybody?
Awesome. So before we get started here, let's turn it over to Mike and Chuck and see what's going on with them and what's new. I know they've been pretty busy with shows and everything. So, Michael, we'll turn it over to you first. What's new with you, and welcome aboard again.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be back with you guys. I have been on tour. Last week, I was at Castle Amusement Park here in Southern California, and then last weekend in Portland, Oregon, actually doing some incredible things. One of the most interesting things was I was at this club called The Loft, and they're doing what they call digital mapping, projecting on the walls. And so they changed the walls throughout the evening. And even though it's just a plain, like, concrete wall, the walls look like Las Vegas on the Strip with video. And then when my show was on, it looked like a theater with red curtains, lavish red curtains, and a big billboard with my name. But it's like almost dimensional. It's really amazing work. And I hadn't seen that done in a small venue before. I've seen it at Disneyland out on the castle when they do their fireworks show. But now they're doing this in smaller venues, and it's pretty amazing. It's really visually very, very interesting.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So you've definitely been keeping busy. You have any other upcoming projects or anything that you're able to talk about or would like to talk about?
Well, right now I'm just getting ready to do some more shows this coming weekend. And also I continue to do work, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, I continue to work on my new book on ghost hunting, which will be coming out in 2023, but it's a lot of work. You know how it is, Joe. You write too, so you understand, but it's really intensive work, but I'm enjoying it.
That's awesome. You know, what was funny is when I did my first book, that Images of America of Camel, history book on the city of Camel, and I was doing a little kind of like presentation at Barnes and Nobles with some other authors, and there was a lady sitting next to me who also wrote a history book, and she was saying, you know, she was giving her little spiel about the book and everything, and somebody asked her, you know, what did you find most, you know, interesting about the process of writing the book and all that? It's some kind of question like that. And she said, you know, of just how lonely it was. She goes, I found myself, you know, 8-10 hours a day, you know, just sitting at the desk by myself doing research and writing. And I looked over.
Exactly.
I said, you know what? I said, I'm the same way. I said, I spent 5 days a week in a little attic at this lady's house going through boxes about 8 hours a day by myself. I said, I never really thought about it, but yeah, it was kind of lonely. Is that kind of what you've been finding out as well?
Oh yeah, but you know, Joe, I do work mostly. I like to work in the evening, especially till like 4 or 5 in the morning. So most of the people that are around me are asleep by then. So I am lonely, yes, for sure. It's long hours, but they're solitary hours primarily. So you know, it works out kind of good. Of course, I sleep. Some of the time I would rather be with others, but I get more creative at night. That's just when I sort of am a vampire, I guess, by nature.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am. Whenever I do any articles or research, I find myself, you know, being able to do it more at night than I can during the day. I mean, it's actually, for some reason, very hard for me to concentrate or to get in the mood to do any writing or research during the day. But come nighttime, man, I'm rip roaring ready to go, you know, all night till 4 or 5 in the morning. And then,
Absolutely,
you know, do find it, you know, kind of looking back at it, it is kind of, you know, you're just there by yourself, just you and the computer, a stack of books, and, you know, whatever else, and that's it. But yeah, that's definitely odd. I kind of wonder how many people out there, you know, I'm sure everybody has their time when they're able to write. I remember reading a book a few years ago about Clive Barker, and he would say, you know, as soon as he woke up in the morning, he'd have a cup of coffee, a cigar, and he'd start writing and just write all day long. I said, there's no way. I said, when I wake up, man, it takes me a good 2 hours to actually wake up. I said, and I don't want to, write first thing in the morning. I couldn't even get into the groove to do it. So that's kind of interesting.
No, well, I think you get more creative at night. I mean, it's like when I was younger, I would always listen to radio shows late at night because it opens your imagination more. So you can access that part of your mind that normally you wouldn't access during the day when you have so many distractions, light, people around. At night, you're solitary, and so your mind is your whole, tool. So it really works well for writing as long as you don't mess up, because sometimes late at night you start, repeating or something. So you've got to watch yourself. But generally speaking, nighttime is the right time for writing.
Yeah, there's definitely been some times where I'd be sitting down and researching, and next thing I know, 20 minutes or something is gone. I had nodded off, my head in my hand or something, and go grab a cup of coffee and, do a little bit of stretching or something and go right back at it. But that was, kind of the process that worked for me. Now, Chuck, you're a creative guy and make a lot of things. You invent a lot of stuff, and you're always do you have a certain time of day that works for you?
You know what? I would have to agree with you guys. It's like towards the evening, definitely. And I always sleep with a notepad and a pencil next to me, because some of my best ideas come while I'm sleeping. I actually actually think of these things, and I jump up and I write them down. So yeah, I mean, it does happen all hours of the night, actually, particularly in the evenings, And then I do like to build things once things calm down, maybe like around 8 o'clock at night or something. I'll get the soldering iron out, and I'll draw up some schematics and so forth, But but Michael mentioned about the projecting out here in Pittsburgh. My wife and I last week we went to a Van Gogh exhibit, and you know what? It was actually pretty cool. It was based on that same principle, Michael. I mean, like, there wasn't no actual paintings that they brought with them. Had filmed the photographs, and they made them move on the walls, on 3 sides of the walls. So like they actually brought the paintings to life. The only bad thing is that, we all had to go on the floor. We were laying on the floor, and there was people in their 80s and 90s, and they had a hard time getting up. But I tell you what, it was a really, really cool. A lot of classical music, the Four Seasons and so forth. And it was a really cool exhibit, and they're actually going from city to city. It's the Van Gogh, I forget, immersion or Van Gogh. So you know what? It'll be coming to a city near you. Committed. It's really, really cool.
Now, why were you on the floor? I'm curious.
You know what? There was no seats. I mean, it was just that way. They said, "Okay, get it." So like,
wow.
Some people sat. I actually took my shoes off and used them as a pillow. and so it was an experience, man. But I tell you what, it was really, really cool. It was about 25 minutes long. And then you could tour the place too, and they had some things on the wall like replicas, and there was a gift shop. They had some really cool gifts there, but they did not take cash. I thought that was strange because I have my card on me, so I picked out some things to purchase, and then the woman said, "Oh, we don't take cash." I said, "You got to."
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy, but what are you gonna do? But
it seems like a lot more places are going towards that, where they're only taking credit cards or debit cards.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to buy maybe $70 worth of stuff. I mean, so they lost out right there. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I mean, but as far as the magic goes, it's been very busy. Tonight I had a show at 7 p.m., so I made it back a little bit after 9 o'clock. And then I'm booked the weekend and so forth. And yeah, this is one of the busiest months. The month of October and the month of December are the busiest. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of traveling, and thank goodness the weather's been pretty good. It's cold out here in Pittsburgh, but it's not snowy or anything yet.
Now, who did you perform for tonight, Chuck?
This was a group, where they get together. So they had a bunch of kids. They were all different ages. So there were some kids who were sitting on the floor, just like the Van Gogh exhibit, and there was some of the there was some of the bigger kids. Now my rabbit that I use, unfortunately, is not doing well. He's about 11 years old. He's losing weight.
Oh.
Yeah, I could tell. So he's in pretty bad health. Now I do have a backup rabbit, and my wife bought him about 2 years ago. I use dwarf rabbits because they fit into the boxes properly.
Yes, they're great.
Yeah, now this guy that sold the rabbit to my wife, this backup one, lied. This thing is huge. I mean, I can't fit him into the box. He's just gigantic. So I'm kind of in a frenzy here. We've been looking,
But you don't have to get them in the boxes. You just make them appear, right?
Yeah. So we're looking on Craigslist. I have to come up with a rabbit within the next couple of days here, or a Rex rabbit or a dwarf rabbit, But this one lasted about 11 or 12 years. He's in pretty bad health. He's a really cool rabbit. I mean, it's a shame to see him like this, but I can tell, I've had rabbits for over 35 years. I can tell when they start to lose weight and they're just
right.
Yeah, he possibly even had a stroke or something. I don't know. It's a shame.
Oh, guy. Yeah. Well, it's good to hear that you guys are finally getting around, starting to do a lot more shows, and it seems like everything's starting to get back to, I guess, some type of normalcy, So that's always good to hear.
Every once in a while, they ask me to wear a mask. I mean, and that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
What I have a beard and everything, and man, I tell you what, itchy, and I can't breathe right in that thing. But yeah.
But Chuck, when I do hypnosis shows now, many of them I have to wear. First of all, the seats are all spaced for social distancing, and then I wear a mask, and then they wear a mask, and they also wear gloves, and I wear gloves. So I do a whole hour show that way, just doing hypnosis. So it's challenging, but we have to meet the challenge. I was actually doing some hypnotherapy yesterday at the Younger Medical Group, and they haven't had us come in for a long time because of COVID, one-on-one with clients. But we both had to wear masks and social distance during the session. So
wow, it's amazing.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, that would definitely be challenging in and of itself. Not adding on to everything else that comes with it. So definitely hat tip to both of you guys, especially for getting out there, and doing all these shows in the state of the world that we're in right now.
Yeah, so. It's a different world, that's for sure. But if I had to wear a mask all the time, I would shave. I would definitely get rid of this beard.
Wow.
Never get rid of the beard, Chuck.
Yeah, it is rough though. Wow.
Yeah. So Eddie, you've been quiet over there. What's new? I know you're ready to dredge up something.
No, I was concentrating in the rabbit deal there because I was thinking, Chuck, what you do is you do a very simple act. You take the rabbit. If it so happens he passes out or passes away during the production, you pretend you hypnotize him and you lay him on the side. You got it made, man. They'll never know.
Yeah,
and then
the kids say, "We'll bring him back," and Chuck's like, "Oh, I don't know. He's not breathing."
He brings out the fat rabbit and says, "Look at this."
The fat rabbit.
That's what you got to do. Just got to improvise,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good here. I was finishing up the magic set and stuff, and like anything at the end, there's always a little nicks and knots that you have to straighten out, and everything looks like it's working as planned. So I'm pretty happy to say that it's going to be launched hopefully by the end of this week, God willing.
Oh boy!
And another thing that I wanted to say, we are also just like you were told, you're working on your book, and we're looking forward for you to finish. Obviously, you're going to beat me and Joe and us in our book that I was putting out, because obviously we haven't worked on it in a while, but that's because of how much production, how much things we're doing at once, and we're trying to grow the channel. And now we also started about 4 days ago. I started putting like a slight cooking channel for our guests out there that they can listen to and watch and stay healthy, because we need our guests to all live past 100.
Wow.
Frankenstein did, so why can't we? You know what I mean? So this way we can have the same customers for a long time. When I say customers, friends out there, we can have an audience that would always be in their, we'll be getting into our 80s, 90s, and they'll still be listening to us and buying magic tricks. So you want to keep them healthy, But you know what, man? I'll tell you what. I want to give a shout out to Jim and Charlie there, because they continue to listen to our shows each and every week. They become very good listeners, and also to my grandson. My grandson has now been also a part of the show.
Oh, wow.
He actually wants to help me do some filming. And the other thing is, of course, Chuck there. Chuck is phenomenal. I can't say much anymore about him of how good he is. And Joe that carries the show, and now we continue to grow. We're now in 7 countries, I believe. Yeah, 7 countries. And we got Anchor sent us like a ribbon kind of thing saying, how much we've grown.
Wow.
We've grown by 378%, I think it said, or something like that.
Yeah, we're what, over, I think, over 6,200 listeners a week now and growing.
Wow.
Yeah, and now we're also on 8 platforms instead of 7. I forget exactly which is the app, but we are on Google Cast. We are on Spotify, Anchor, iTunes, which is podcast, I think the iTunes thing is called, and a couple more that I really don't remember right now, but it's a total of 8. So that's pretty good. And now the other thing I wanted to bring up is I asked Jim, I said, Jim, have any luck finding the brown derby hat that, from that, apparently that ghost that haunted the house in Pennsylvania, and the photograph? And he says his sister's working on it. She's looking through the family archives and stuff. And I can't wait to actually display it in my my collection, But other than that, everything's pretty good here. I'm anxious to hear more about what you guys have to say about the traveling shows and the magic. And Mike, you sent me a couple of photographs, and they're really awesome, man.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, my stuff's kind of different, I mean, I do crazy stuff. Yeah, you were talking about the one where I pulled the chain through my neck. I really enjoy that one, and that was a particularly good shot.
I think if somebody walked into that and just heard, yeah, I pulled the chain through my neck, I really enjoyed it. Like, what's going on in this podcast?
Well,
strange podcast.
It's just like the Igor from Young Frankenstein.
Oh,
the guy says, "Hey, when I get a chance to get back home, I'm going to look at that hump." He says, "What hump?"
What hump?
Yeah.
What hump?
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Hey, Joe, I had a question for you. Last time I was on the program, you were about to watch West of Zanzibar with Lon Chaney. Did you ever watch that?
You know what? I have not got around to any of the Lon Chaney's yet. It's been the last month and a half has just been crazy. I have a whole stack of movies that I'm so far behind. I'm behind on. I wanted to have my newest article for Scary Monsters done by now, and I haven't even started that or watched the movie that I've been that I picked to write it on. And I just, with work and the holidays and just everything else, personal life, it's been it's been crazy. It's like I keep playing catch up, but I'm never actually, catching up on anything. So
right, I'm the same way.
I'm hoping, things are starting to kind of slow down a little bit now because mostly, everything's, done with. So I'm hoping these next few weeks I could get caught up on my article, some movies, and a few books. I got a whole stack of books that I've been, trying to dig into as well, and it's just, trying to play catch up. It's crazy.
Oh, I was going to say, a lot of you guys, I don't know if you've done this, but I did some catching up in my collection. I thought my collection was getting a little thin, and I needed to get it bigger. So I went to Big Lots, and I went to a couple of stores just a couple of weeks ago, like maybe 10 days after Halloween, and I started picking up, and in Big Lots, I was able to get this clown in a rocking chair. And it's about maybe 18 inches tall, and it rocks, and it goes,
Oh, that sounds cool.
And then it plays a carnival theme song,
Well, I'm sure the wife loved that.
Oh, no, she I hid it. She never got to see it. And I also got a snake. When you get next to it, it looks like a coiled snake. And then a snake pops out and goes, Arr! It's really fast, and it'll make you jump. And I was able to get a skull. Nice looking skull. I think it laughs or something like that. But I was able to get quite a few nice collectibles, man. I was also, I don't know, Mike, if you got to listen a week or two ago, I had Sarah Karloff. I think I asked you earlier.
Yeah.
Did you get to listen to that episode?
I haven't. I'm going to listen to it on my next flight, so I'm saving it.
I'm telling you, that is a phenomenal. I learned so much about her dad and stuff that I didn't know, even though
that was amazing. That was amazing.
Amazing episode. And I found it so funny when I go, you told me a long time your dad didn't collect his career. And she goes, I wish he had.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Could you imagine a few of those original Frankenstein posters?
Oh, my goodness.
My gosh, that would be. A buddy of mine had an original one, and he sold it about 15 years ago. And he sold it for a couple grand, but he kind of wishes he would have definitely held on for it because the price is only skyrocketing on all old movie posters.
There's a story I think I mentioned in an earlier episode. A guy in California, he went to a flea market. I don't know if it was in California or Las Vegas, and he bought, some guy in the flea market said, "I got this poster here. I don't know if you, I think it's missing pieces, but there's a few posters inside this box," and he sold it to him, if I'm correct, for $20. When the guy got home, he realized that the poster was sections of a larger poster. Some guy in New York who's a big Frankenstein movie collector, original posters and stuff.
Wow.
Realized that he was talking about the 25 sheet that the guy in New York had never seen a real one, but he had seen it in the original catalog. And these are the ones that are billboard size.
Yeah.
And he could not believe that this guy had actually found one in mint condition. So I don't know exactly what the price was and how much he sold it for, but I know the guy made a nice little hefty profit of a $20 investment.
Oh,
yeah.
I was going to go and say, "Hey, I think that was my poster. I left it there in the flea market."
I just don't understand how I could never find stuff like that. I always hear these stories of people having these great finds, or you hear stories of someone buys a painting at a garage sale for $1, and it turns out to be some kind of rare, famous painting, worth tens of thousands, and you're like, "Are you kidding me?"
It never happens to me either, Joe.
I know.
Never.
I know. To me, man. I've been looking for the robot plants for years.
Oh, take a drink.
Take a drink. See, everybody's gotten drunk, and I can't find them. I'll tell you what, and I got to give a shout out to Caputo, the artist who actually did my cover for the comic book, and he's done a lot of artwork for me. This guy is phenomenal. This guy actually has gone out of his way to connect with a collector that sells marble and comic book memorabilia. And this guy actually said to him, "I have the poster. I mean not the poster, the robot plans. The only thing is, the only thing is that he hasn't seen it in about 5 years, and he says as soon as he finds it, he will get it for me.
Wow.
He'll sell it to me." So the guy's done marvelous work because, in fact, because of Cav, I almost made it to Pawn Stars. And then the COVID thing came in, and I think they canceled everything that they were planning to do because I'm still haven't heard from them. I was scheduled to go over there with the Polaris nuclear sub.
That would have been cool. Oh,
yeah,
man.
it would have been phenomenal just to appear there. I mean, I probably would have built it for Rick if he would have given me $100,000 for it.
Right.
Wow.
But
it's good because you would have probably what would have happened is that you would have sold it there, probably got a good amount of money for it, and then after a while when it sunk in, you would have kicked yourself because you got rid of it.
Oh, I would have kicked myself the moment I got rid of it because the money would have been gone, and I would have I used to have one of those when I was little. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, some of the things, it's everybody has their prized possessions, and sometimes the money seems good, but that money runs out, and then you have no money and you have no collectible, and you're like, well, what happened?
One thing I'm going to tell you guys, man. Like I said, when I went to Honor House a year after it closed down in 1985, and the guy went to the back and he brings me out 11 Frankensteins and 13 skeletons, Boney the skeletons, all mint condition, all in the original envelope. And like an idiot, I started selling them on eBay anywhere from 180 to 212. I think the most I sold, but this is like 20 years ago before. I think it was like the beginning of eBay. And when I look at it now, every time one of them pops up, I say to myself, I wonder if that's one of the ones I sold.
It probably
because
is.
I had, 11 mint. Now, of course, I still have, I had two, I gave one to my buddy Joe over there.
Oh,
I still have one in mint condition.
That's a beautiful one too. I tell you what, that's, like I said, that's one of the monster collectibles I always wanted and could never ever find. I'd never seen them anywhere, so that was definitely cool to get.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys know, man, he took it from me, man.
Yeah,
he took it from me.
Now I'm waiting for the skeleton one.
The skeleton one. The funny
Christmas time's around the corner. Hint, hint.
No, you want to hear what's crazy about the skeleton? I remember selling him for as low as $60.
Oh.
Now, that's sad because the skeleton, I mean, who would have thought in 1997, 98 that eBay was going to become so big? Like right now, any of those. In fact, I think they had recently one of the 6-foot color Draculas.
Yeah.
And they were asking like $800 for it. It's like,
whoa.
Yeah, they're asking a lot. In fact, here's the best thing. If you guys remember, I think you got to remember Zachary. He's the one that always, the cool ghoul from Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, Zachary. Do you remember him, Michael?
Actually, I was watching him the other night because on Tubi, on Roku and the Roku station, they have Tubi. And on Tubi, there's a whole special with Zachary doing commentary on all these they shortened down all the classic films like from the 50s and 60s. And then it's like a 2-hour program featuring him commenting like he did in the old days, but on these short versions of each of the films.
You know what, Mike? I seen that. I actually bought that. They had it on DVD. I bought it at Monster Bash a few years ago, and it's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're talking about it. I've watched it a few times. It's amazing.
Really good.
You know, I've been trying to find some of his shows, and I have one app on my Roku, and it has a lot of classic horror movies and stuff on it, and a lot of them by some newer horror hosts, but they have one Zachary on there, an original one.
Oh, wow.
And it's on I can't remember. I think it's if you have Roku, try to find Mr. Lobo's his app, and he has it listed on there. Now there's only one of them, and when he put it on there, I got a hold of him and to see if he had any more, and he said he was trying to get more. And this was about 2 years ago. Said he was trying to find more, but he said they were really hard to come by, you know. And like I said, 2 years ago, there's still only one on there. So
yeah, because a lot of that stuff they just reused the tape in those days. They didn't save them.
That's
right. But yeah, it is on there. If you download it, you'll be able to find that full episode with Zachary, and it's fantastic.
I'll do it.
What you guys got to remember is that Zachary was based out of the Pennsylvania area. Mm-hmm. So where you would see his shows more. It's kind of like back in 1973, where for one season only you had the hilarious House of Frightenstein from Canada, even though that it was 23 seasons long. But they're very hard to come by in this country, I guess, for copywriting, whatever it is, because in Canada they didn't really care, I guess, even though Vincent Price was part of that show.
Wow.
But it's called the Hilarious House of Frightenstein, but it sounds like Frankenstein. And I mean, the beginning of it and the end of it was done by Vincent Price. So it's phenomenal. The voice.
Wow.
That's cool.
But that happened only in the New York, New Jersey area. It would air at 3 p.m. in Channel 11. And it was great. And it was only the name of the actor is Van. I know his first name is Van, V-A-N. I forgot his last name. But he actually acted out all the parts. And he copied like the Wolfman Jack. And the Wolfman was like a psychedelic Wolfman that played music. And then there was the librarian that looked like a very old, this famous writer was Mark Twain with the big mustache.
Yeah.
And it was Frankie. Frankenstein was dead on a slab. And Dracula was always trying to get him to come up. And he's like, Brucey. And it's all one actor. I never realized it was all one actor. But anyway, the point is that I was going to tell you guys, Zachary, back in the day, I was able to get he actually loaned me his original poster. And I took that poster because I didn't have the original. And I reproduced it at 600 DPIs. And I started selling life-size posters of Zachary. Which I'm still to this day selling. But the thing was, it was kind of interesting. One day they made a mistake in Staples where I was getting them done at the time. And the guy did for me 2 of them in canvas. And he's like, oh man, I made a mistake. I said, no, I'll take them. It's fine. So I paid him whatever. I took them with me and I had Zachary sign both of them. And my shock and dismay when I sold one on Etsy for $978.
Ooh.
And I kept the other, which I still have, but that's a unique one of a kind because that poster was never done on canvas. So me and whoever the guy was that bought the other one have the original. And, I thought that was unique in itself. But, you also got this guy, Spanguli, I think it is.
Svengoolie?
Yeah, he's pretty good, man. I actually had to laugh at some of his.
Yeah, I watch him every week. He's out of Chicago. Yeah.
Is that the one with the rubber chicken?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's very good to his fans too. I mean, my daughter did a painting of him on a she took a vinyl 33 1/3 and she painted his logo on it with him. She sent it into him and he actually displayed it on his show.
Oh, wow.
That's nice.
You know what's funny is that several years ago, maybe so it started about 6 or 7 years ago. I found that Svengoolie was on MeTV.
Yeah.
And here in Youngstown, there was no way to get MeTV. It was out. You could get it if you're in Cleveland or if you're in Pittsburgh, but it wouldn't come into this area in Youngstown, Ohio. So I said, I need to find a way to, because I really started getting into horror hosts at the time, and I watched some of his older ones on YouTube and all that and online. I said, I got to get this MeTV, and they're playing all these old, shows and old movies on there, and I'm like, I got to get this MeTV. So I was looking at putting up a satellite. Like a satellite dish or an antenna on my house, and I talked to a few places, and they said that where I'm at, I would just be like a mile or two short of being able to get the signal out of Pittsburgh. Would have been closer.
Yeah.
I said, you got to be kidding me. I said, a mile or two. I said, there's no way to amp it up to get. They said, nope, you're just out of the radius. I said, you got to be kidding
Joe.
me. So,
wow.
Lift your house.
So it gets better. So then we get rid of our cable and get Dish TV, because I heard a lot of places you could get MeTV on Dish. Unfortunately, my area, you could not get MeTV on Dish. So we got Dish TV. So I think once a week for about a year or two, I would email Dish TV to get MeTV on there. I kept emailing them, tons of emailing them. For like 2 years. It had to be once or twice a week, every week for 2 years.
Wow.
And they still did not get it on there. So anyways, my wife and I, we ended up moving a few blocks over from where we were, got rid of Dish TV, and just kind of went with the streaming services. And about a month or two after we got rid of Dish TV, what do you think happens?
Oh, no.
They pick up MeTV. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
But Joe,
because they sent me an email saying that, thank you for all your emails and all that. We just want to inform you that Dish TV now has MeTV. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me.
Oh, wow.
But Joe,
I was so heartbroken, man. I said,
So do you have MeTV?
What's that, Chuck?
Do you have MeTV now then?
No, because we never got the Dish Network or anything. We got all the streamings and everything. But I ended up, finding that monsterchannel.com where they have 24/7 shows, and they have a lot of horror hosts on there. So I kind of supplemented with that. But I was never able to get, MeTV. So
wow, Joe,
watched,
Joe, I can make your dream come true with MeTV. You know that, right?
Why is that?
I have to talk to you later, my friend.
Okay.
But listen, one thing I'm going to tell you is very sad. There's two things you could have done. You could have moved your house a mile closer.
Yeah.
You could have ran an antenna from 2 miles away to your house.
I tried. I was so disappointed when they said you were just a mile or two right outside the radius. I said, are you kidding me? For all those years I tried, man, and then as soon as I got rid of Dish, boom, there it is. They get MeTV. I said, unbelievable.
Yeah, Sven does a nice show. I really enjoy him. But I also listen to Lamia on her channel. She's also on.
Really good too, yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy her. And I was going to tell you guys something. Speaking about TV and monsters and stuff, how many of you guys are Dark Shadows fans? Any of you guys Dark Shadows fans?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to let you know. I mean, Joe, because you read my article where I spent the day on Dark Shadows set when I was a child. But I what I wanted to mention was that they're going to do most of the original cast are doing a version of Christmas Carol coming up on December 19th. It's absolutely free and it's online. And if you go to Catherine Lee Scott's page on Facebook, there's the links there, and it's going to have David Selby, Quentin Collins. It's going to have Mitch Ryan. It's going to have Jerry Lacey, who's Reverend Trask and all of that. It's going to have a little boy who's now grown up, David, and it's going to have Kathleen Lee Scott, Laura Parker, Angelique the Witch, Marie Wallace, who was Eve, the Bride of Frankenstein on the TV show. It's going to have who was Carolyn's daughter, and it's going to have Vicky from there. So it's all the pretty much remaining stars from it that are still alive. They're going to do a reading of Charles Dickens' Christmas Carol on December 19th on Sunday. It's 4 p.m. on Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and it's absolutely free. So if you're a Dark Shadows fan, you got to go to Catherine Lee Scott's Facebook page, get that link, and watch it.
Do you know what the link is? I don't have a social media or anything. Do you know what the web page might be? Or is it just going through Facebook?
Let's see. Let me see if I can see this for you.
Joe, just because you don't have it doesn't mean you can't go on it. You can just go on it and get the link. You don't have to.
Really?
You don't have to have a signed account.
Oh, okay. I have to check that out then.
It depends if you can do it on YouTube. It says or Zoom. Actually, Joe, if you want to message me or something, I'll send you the links.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Joe,
just text message me or whatever.
Okay.
I was going to tell you guys one thing about Dark Shadows. There was a co-worker of us. Me and Jim were working in this place, and we compared the guy. He looked just like Barnabas Jones. What's the name of the
Barnabas Collins? Yeah,
Barnabas Collins. And I show him the picture, and I go, "What are you doing here?" And the guy almost ate us alive. He got pretty upset. It was so funny because it was an identical copy of the guy.
Wow.
I thought it was his twin brother, man.
Yeah, I spent a day on the set with him, and he was a very nice man.
Yeah.
He didn't try sucking your blood?
No. It was really weird because, they would sit around in T-shirts with tissue around their necks because they had their makeup on, and they do their rehearsals with the scripts. And then all of a sudden, they come into the dressing room, they're all dressed, and they're Barnabas Collins. It's like, wow, 1 minute it's an actor, the next minute it's like, wow, he's here. It's Barnabas. And Quentin and Barnabas were there that day. And so it was crazy. And I played on the sets of The Graveyard and all that. But yeah, he never tried to buy my neck.
The Barnabas, he died, didn't he?
Yes, Jonathan Fred had passed away. They're still trying to get a star for him on the Canadian Walk of Fame, where they have similar to Hollywood, but in Canada.
That'd be great. What's
that? Can they use Joe? The only thing is that Joe doesn't have as much hair.
Yeah, have to let it. Give me a day or two; it'll grow out.
I mean, come on, he's a good host.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to ask you: do you have anything coming up for Scary Monsters in the next few issues?
I'm so busy writing my book. I haven't yet, but I'm considering writing an article. I may submit it to Don and Vicky over there on a film, interesting film a silent film that stars Boris Karloff, and in it he's a mesmerist and also a magician.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I have never seen them do an article on that particular one. I've done articles, of course, on hypnosis movies for them, but I hadn't seen it done before, and so I thought, that'd be an interesting. It's called the movie's called The Bells. It's based on Edgar Allan Poe's story of The Bells, and it has Lionel Barrymore in it also with Karloff, and he actually levitates a lady in it and all sorts of things. It's really cool.
Ooh, that's really interesting.
How come nobody writes an article on House of the Unusual? How we met Frankenstein?
Or there you go.
How Joe got bitten by Dracula.
That's for you, Eddie. That's there you go. That could be your first article.
Yeah.
How we interviewed Sarah Karloff. And it'll start off. We're looking for the robot monster plan.
Yeah, there you go.
Why not?
What about your book, Michael? So it's ghost hunting. Is that what you said?
Yeah. I'm actually turning in the draft of it in April, and it'll be out in 2023. But the working title right now is "Ghost Trancer: A Hypnotist Among the Spirits."
Oh wow, cool. Do you guys actually do ghost hunting? I know Joe's involved with different things. Do you actually go out to different locations?
Oh yeah, that's what I do. I've been all over the place.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to my YouTube, you can see some of them. I've done all over the place, really crazy stuff. And then I had insane ghost things that happened with ghosts over in Asia and Malaysia, and when I was on tour over there, and also in Las Vegas, a very fascinating story that I experienced. But yeah, I go ghost hunting almost any chance I get, because a lot of times, what happens late at night is when I get done with shows in different locations, you want to stay up because you're kind of hyped from the shows. So rather than going to the bar or something, I go to a graveyard or a cemetery and spend the night,
Oh, yeah. I tell you what, Michael, I think I mentioned it on one of the previous podcasts. I actually grew up in a haunted house. And every and probably around 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I was pretty young, but but I still got the gist of it, that something wasn't right. Up in our attic, you'd hear loud footsteps going up and down the steps, and it, like breathing, and my dad popped his head up, like through the doorway, and like there was a mist floating around, but every night like clockwork, and I just start crying. I was only about 4 years old. Yeah, and I tell you what, I have a buddy of mine that doesn't believe in anything. I mean, he goes, "Oh, that was a mouse." I said, "Yeah, okay, that was a 200-pound mouse with work boots and asthma."
Yeah.
Wait a second. Wait, Chuck. I've seen the cat from oh my God, not Tweety Bird, the other guy. I've seen Sylvester. He always battles a 200-pound mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's a possibility.
Hey, Mike, last time you were on, did I tell you about my ghost sighting of a dog at my house?
Yes.
Okay.
That was fascinating. I think that's awesome. And
I still think of that. And even I was in the basement yesterday doing laundry, and it's like every time I go in the basement now, I'm like, am I going to see this again, or what's going to go on? I mean, it's still. Gosh, cool. It was, for people that don't believe, and I'm a very skeptical person too, but I like to keep an open mind. And I tell you what, man, that was something that's still every time in my mind when I go in the basement. And I don't know if I told you guys or we've mentioned it before, but at my wife and I's old house, when our first dog passed away, he used to be crated all the time when we left the house because he was just a maniac. He was a little toy fox terrier, and he was just an absolute nut.
Oh, wow.
So we had to crate him every time we left because we had 7 dogs at the time, and some of them were small, and he would just, we didn't want him to hurt them, not intentionally, but just him running around and, playing and everything. So we would keep him in a little crate. And after he passed away, my wife would find the crate in the morning with the door open. Wow. And she would close it, it was one of those, a metal crate, where you could see inside and all that. And she would close it. And then the next morning it would be open again. And she's like, I don't know if that's him saying, keep the crate open, but it was very weird.
Wow.
Joe, you have 2 great books, Joe. Do not open the crate. And don't go down to the basement.
Yeah.
So, you got 2 titles there, Joe. You can start out very soon, man.
Yeah, all with dogs. But, people always talk about, seeing, human ghosts, but I always like the stories that have to deal with animals and all that. I've heard, all kinds of different ones with birds, dogs, cats, horses, you name it.
Well,
those are always cool.
Well, that's encouraging. I'm very glad to hear that. I was just curious, Michael, when you go into the summit encounter things, is there different things that you encounter when you go through cemeteries at night?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I've gone to many, San Antonio, different parts of the country, Montana. And yes, we get incredible reactions. It's interesting because I think the spirits, like I've said before on here, I think, they don't know they're really dead. So I don't even know if they know why they're there. But yes, we use the dowsing rods, we use ghost boxes to communicate, and we always get very interesting evidence. And so it's fascinating.
You know what? It's amazing that cemeteries take on a really ominous look at night. You know what? I've only been in a cemetery maybe 2 or 3 times, and when it's dusk and it gets dark, it's amazing how the change happens. It just looks like a totally ominous. You know what? The way it shows it on the TV shows, like there's always a moonlit type of a night, and there's light. Those things are pitch black, man. You can't even see your hand.
Oh, I know. I know.
It's always raining there.
Well, yes, exactly. But yeah, and it's foggy and whatever. But yeah, no, I find them very peaceful places, and I always communicate with them in a positive way. And I always, I've never had a negative experience, Chuck, but it's always fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I like to walk in the cemetery during the day. I take my dog the day. We walk.
Oh,
yeah, you know what? It is. Yeah, I mean, you know what? That's during the day, like I said, but in the evening they do take a. It is really spooky, man. It has an ominous feel to it. It really does.
Yeah, I used to run around one in Youngstown. They have one of the real old ones. They have a lot of mausoleum type, graves in there, and it's just it's on a big hill, so there's a lot of nice hills. So if you're running, getting in shape, it's a great place to run or walk. And I tell you what, even during the day, it's you look at some of them and it's freaky. And if you drive by, if you drive on 680, you could see it at night, and because it sits right against the freeway. So if you have the street lights kind of hitting it, or if you have a moon out, or car lights hitting it, it's really weird because you'll see as the lights move and all that from the cars and stuff, you'll see the shadows and everything moving there, and it could be really spooky looking.
Absolutely.
Now, Joe, you go running in them, or is it that you see ghosts and you have to flee?
Yeah, I'm hoping they chase me in there. Get me moving a little faster.
I'll tell
you what, I'd be booking. I wouldn't be jogging anymore.
Wait.
A full-on sprint.
You guys are missing the big picture here. There's nothing cooler than a ghost ship. You gotta forget the cemetery. You go the night and you go into the beach, like in Miami, whatever, and you go into pitch darkness. And if you look out yonder, I guarantee you see like a little boat or something with a skeleton just pushing himself along the water.
I think that would be really cool to see, like a ghost ship or something with like the torn sails and everything just floating out. Remember what was it? The end of Goonies, when that ghost ship, One Eye Willie's ship came out.
Yeah,
I'm like, man, how cool would that be?
That's what I'm saying. So you guys are talking about no, the ghost ship part. That's for my. Excuse me. You guys, I got it. Excuse me again.
Wow. Yeah, right there, you're getting choked
I'm choking from the ghost ship. Oh my gosh, there's a Jolly Roger series that came out by Lindbergh, the Lindbergh line.
Oh.
And there's also a Russian company. I forgot the name of the Russian company, but they all introduced their own version of the Flying Dutchman.
Eddie, I have to tell you something.
Oh my God!
While you're coughing there, it's going to make you cough more. I finally got the Russian one, ghost ship, the glow in the dark.
It's the same. What? I got something that's gonna make you cough more. You know what I got? Versions of it. Okay, and the two versions that the Russian made. Guess what? I have the two, and I got two of each, and I got years Flying Dutchman.
What was the second one? What was the second one that they made?
I'm gonna send you a picture later. It's the same Flying Dutchman. I think it's the same. The box is different, but the artwork in the Russian one is phenomenal, man.
Yeah, that's the one that I ordered. It's like it's all written in Russian, and it's got that's why I'm like, man, this is phenomenal artwork. And what's funny is that the guy had it listed for, I think it was like 59 something and some change with free shipping. So I sent him I sent him a best offer of like 55, and he goes, oh no, he goes, the lowest I could go was, I think it was like 57.50. I said no. So I kept it on my watch list, and he sent me a couple weeks later for $50 flat. I said, yep, I'll take it.
Wow.
I said, yeah. So I was excited. It's supposed to be here, I think, Friday. So I'm really excited. I'm torn if I want to try to put it together, because there's pictures. I've seen pictures of it put together, and it just looks really cool. Like just in the light, it looks cool, but the glow in the dark part, it looks fantastic. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to put it together or just keep it in the box.
Well, Joe, what I wanted to tell you is they're all actually the same model kit, I think. I have, like I told you, for some reason I went nuts and I bought 4 of the Russian because I fell in love with the artwork.
Oh,
and I bought actually 3 of the Lindbergh ones, but I did, to give my job. There was a friend of mine who was building, and I gave it to him, but then he said it was going to be too tough, so I took it back. And now I have 3, but the one that's open, what I did with that is it's all, I mean, if you got to build the whole glow in the dark thing, I wouldn't even paint it because it's so phenomenal. Just the whole thing glow in the dark, because it's all in glow in the dark plastic. But here's the other part to it. They also make a puzzle of the Flying Dutchman and the other one from Pirates of the Caribbean, the Black Pearl. And I got those are like 45 inches tall and like 30 inches long. They're huge. They go for like $45-$50. And I purchased 2 of the Flying Dutchman and 1 of the, because, I want to open one obviously to build it and the other 2 just to keep, right? I got to tell you, I'm a nut for haunted houses and ghost ships. I love ghost ships. And one thing I'm going to tell you, and this is no kidding, when you look at the ghost ship, they used to make one a couple of years ago that was called the ghost ship. It's a smaller, like 9-inch version, which I built 1 or 2, and I think I have like 5 or 6 originals of those. Those go for over $100 when they sell. And I also have the Flying Dutchman Lindbergh from the 1940s. It's a bigger box. I have all those, but I got to tell you, Russian ones, it cost me like $60 each because the shipping is like $30 just to get here.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the shipping got to be high.
And yeah, and the reason I got 2 is because the first one, the box came slightly dented, and I don't like that. So I just ordered another one. I was going to return it, and then I said, screw it, I'll keep both of them.
I don't know. I'd like to see who does the artwork for them because it's definitely amazing. I mean, if you guys just go on there and look for Flying Dutchman model kit Russian, and you'll see it on there. It'll blow you away. I mean, it would make a really cool poster too, especially if you could get the poster to glow in the dark.
Well, it's too bad, Joe.
It would be amazing.
I already blew it, Joe. I'm sorry. I'm getting a 24 by 36 poster delivered pretty soon. I'm surprised. Who told you about the Russian Flying Dutchman? Was it me?
Yeah, you did.
Oh.
Yeah, because right when you had mentioned it on one of the podcasts, I went to go look for him, and I said, I found that guy had it for about $60 with free shipping, and I said, I'll try to get it a little bit lower. I mean, I was going to eventually purchase it because, like you said, when you were mentioning the artwork, and when I actually seen it on there and then seen how it was built up, I mean, it's probably one of the best looking model kits that I've seen in a long time. Like I said, I don't know who did the artwork on it, but it's absolutely fantastic.
Well, here's the thing between the Flying Dutch, the difference of the Flying Dutchman is that it's actually a ship of legend. It's not a real ship. It never existed, but the legends of it existed. Well,
if you build it up and put it in your swimming pool, it will exist.
Well, that's a good idea. No, but what I was going to say there's a time that I was a fanatic for ghost ships, and I started selling books of the ghost ships of the Great Lakes, and I got a hold of the publisher, and I used to sell one called Ghost Ship of the Great Lakes. There was various. I must have like maybe 7 or 8 different books about real ghost ships, like ghost ships that disappeared, whatever. But the Flying Dutchman, though, it's just my favorite. It's up there. I've thought about writing booklets about it. Just like another thing that I'm like the Eldridge. Which I know we know the Philadelphia experiment known as, where the ship traveled in time.
Right. That's cool.
Those 2 things are phenomenal. Now, the original Eldridge is actually owned by, I think, South Korea. They made it into some type of merchant vessel. But I got really into that ever since I saw it in the Pawn Stars when Rick Harris bought a piece of it. And then I went crazy trying to obtain photographs of the ship, which I have a couple. But one thing I'm going to tell you guys, there's a beer. I forgot the name of the beer. It's called North something. And they did a special edition, like a ghost ship with a pirate at the helms, a skeleton. And let me tell you, the artwork was like $300-$400, and I'm like, wow. So I made one for myself, just one for myself. Wow, what a poster. I went all the way. I printed that on like the heavy duty canvas.
Yeah.
For outdoor. What a poster, man. And it has the storm. I think it's called After the Storm and Before. I mean, it's very beautiful artwork, and it's the company that produces it. They do sell posters for it, but for hundreds of dollars. And I was debating, should I get an original? But the whole thing is, you know what? You can't beat it. It's phenomenal. And the Russian really kicked butt with this. I always said, American posters of the 1950s were great. French, they beat them, and the Italian were even larger. They had better artwork. But at the same, I think the Russians just beat the Americans and the artwork for the pirate ghost ship. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
You know what those models sound like when we were kids? The strange change models. Those were cool. They were fantastic.
I don't remember what were the strange change ones.
There was. I got the skeleton. Well, there's a Dracula that lays in the coffin, and when you pull the trigger on the side or you push the button, it's like a spring loaded rubber band that you have. It'll side, and then when you open up the coffin again, he's changed to a skeleton. And there's also a time traveler that's in a capsule. He's like a scientist. You know what? And it's actually dated because he's wearing bell-bottom jeans with platforms and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So he's at the control panel. Okay. But then when you close the door and you push the button, it'll spring load again and rotate inside. And now when you open the door up, it's all he's getting attacked by dinosaurs and so forth.
Wow, that's
there was also a mummy. A mummy.
Yeah,
too.
that's right. There was a mummy. You know what? And on one of my videos on YouTube, I actually put electronics to the strange change time traveler. So
wow.
Yeah, so I just close the door and I hit the remote and it changes by itself. And then you open it up and it'll change sceneries. You know, but
did those come out in the 70s, Chuck?
I would say late 60s, early 70s. Eddie would probably know.
They came out in the early 70s. I do have the 3 of them. It was a key that you stuck in the coffin when you turn the key.
That's correct.
Yeah, it would turn. But I built one of them. I sold it on eBay. I still have one sealed, and they also did a remake of them last year. Okay. So you can actually get them again. I think they go on their not Jolly Roger series. It's something like that. But just look for the changing skeleton coffin. Yeah. And it's a vampire. And the only thing.
Joe, you have to get them. I'm telling you, they're unbelievable.
I'll have to check them out, see if I can find some on eBay or some original one.
Original's too much. eBay ones are like $24. So you could probably get it.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to check that. I don't know if I've seen them before, if I just forgot, but the Dracula one sounds really cool.
Oh, it does.
Go to my website.
Back when I was a kid, they were new. You know, we got those when I was a kid, along with the Fright Factory, the Thing Maker. I mean, it was really cool, man.
Well, if you guys go into go into the House of the Unusual website and look at the tour of my place. Yeah. And when it comes out of the office, you're going to see the Dracula one right there, Joe. I have it right there sealed.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. I probably noticed it when I watched the video the first time and just never really thought of it because there's so much stuff there to look at. Yeah, but hey, guys, we're getting down to the last 3 minutes here, so I want to wrap it up real quickly and let everyone know to check us out at houseoftheunusual.com. Sign up for our free forum there. Also, check us out on YouTube under House of the Unusual. Tons of great videos out there coming out weekly from Eddie and Chuck. A lot of new stuff, so definitely check that out. Subscribe to the channel, like our videos, and definitely interact with us in the comments. Also, head over to mymoviemonsters.com because the new issue of Scary Monsters is now shipping and should shortly be at your local bookstore. I just got my copy in the other day of the 1951 Thing cover, and Scott Jackson just knocked it out of the park again.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so and everybody will get, unless you did a subscription, you'll have to get the 1982 Thing cover at the stores, which looks fantastic as well. I'm definitely going to pick up that one, so I have both covers. And I was really surprised to see that my article made it into this issue because they were having they had a lot of carryover articles. So I wrote them something real short on keeping Christmas creepy, on how you could add little things, if you're a Halloween fan and all that, and you want to, put a little bit of creepiness into Christmas, because Christmas is very creepy. When you think about a Christmas Carol and, scary ghost stories and everything, and you start really getting into the Victorian age of stories, a lot of it revolves around Christmas. So I kind of did a short article and molded it on how you could keep Christmas creepy, some little tips on there. So definitely check it out.
What page? What page is that on?
It's on page 72.
I'm going to read it as soon as we get off of here.
Yeah, it's just a small 2-page article. So that's it. And
Joe,
what's up?
I need my copy, man.
I will definitely. As soon as it gets it out to the store. When I checked last week at Barnes and Nobles, it wasn't there. So I'm going to check at actually Friday, and I'll grab a copy. So we're down to the last minute. So Eddie, Chuck, Michael, thank you guys again for joining us. Interesting conversation to say the least, and we want to thank all of our listeners out there in, what are we at, 7 countries now, so whatever country you're finding us from, thank you for listening, and definitely subscribe to our channel on whatever platform you're listening on, and keep coming back, because every week we're just talking about stuff that we enjoy talking about, basically. So you never know what you're going to get when you listen to us. So thanks again, guys, for joining us, and everybody out there in podcast land, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Good night.
God bless everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now, guys.
Bye-bye.